my sprint to make an animation tool in Smalltalk with Pharaoh and Glamorous Toolkit. The thing you're looking at right now is an animation timeline. So the idea is that I'm making an animation where this square is going to come in from the left, bounce down, and hit the floor, bounce up, and bounce back to the other side. So we've got 3 keyframes here where I've set a position for this square. So this is square position, and then we've got the slider that sets the current frame. And of course, you can see nothing's happening. But what should be happening is that when it lands on this frame, it should actually move this square to the right place. So it should find an object named square in this scene. Then this is that object right there, and it should set the position based on the value that is stored in this keyframe. So that's the goal. If I get that to work, then when I drag this here, it will appear here, and then when I get it to this point, it'll suddenly teleport down here, and when I get it to this point, it'll teleport up here, as if it had bounced. So you'll see 3 keyframes. The next step, of course, would be to have it interpolate between those steps so that as you drag back and forth, you can actually see it move smoothly between the 3 positions. But first things first, so I'm going to get it to work right there. That's the goal, is to get making this move so that when this moves, it figures out what frame it's on, which it already does. You can see it snaps to that frame. And so it needs to send a frame changed event of some kind to the scene that causes it to repopulate this. That causes it to check through all the tracks and update the scene based on those tracks. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in and start coding. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I guess we'll figure it out as we go along. So I already do have an event that causes it to, as you can see, snap to the grid in a particular place. Both as they scroll, both the grid and the cursor here, or I guess called a playhead, snap to a particular frame. So I should be able to calculate this pretty easily. I should be able to determine what frame I'm on. I think right now it's actually, I don't think I actually know that. So I think what I should do is put a message somewhere on the screen that says, like, where is what is the current frame? I think I'm just going to put it up here in the toolbar for now. Maybe that'll be where I actually put, maybe it'll be a box where you can actually enter that and jump to it, but we'll see. For now, I'm just going to put a label up there and see what I can make happen. So to make that happen, what would I do? I guess the first thing would be to make a GS animator. So this app right here is called a GS animator. So I can just actually click here on the meta tab, and then I can click this button and make a new one over here. Oh, but this doesn't run a particular example. But I could do it right here and just copy the example that I copied from over here. This is app is GS animator examples bouncing square, which is one that sets up that scene with the bouncing square and the certain number of keyframes. In fact, if you want to see what that does, all it does is literally says, it starts with a scene with a square, has a particular square element whose name is square, and then we say for square position, we're going to set on these keys, we're going to these frames, we're going to set the position to these. That's the goal. It's just data right now. It's just data that stores, frame 0, frame 10, and frame 20 have these points associated with them. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was this. I'm just gonna shrink this back down. When I click that button, then we get a fresh copy of the scene to play with. Okay. I'll go ahead and shrink my head down a little bit. Boom. Okay, so I think in Make UI, I've added this thing, add timeline. And I'm trying to set up a convention where I say self make timeline whenever I have something like this. So I'm gonna hit Control R to refactor this. Hit Control R to refactor it. Okay, come on. Oh, extract method. So it's Control E. So let's go ahead and click that button instead. I'm gonna say make timeline. This timeline. Okay, are you happening? There we go. Okay, just took its time. There we go. There's a new method right there. It uses tabs to indent. I don't really like that when the refactoring browser has its way with the code here. Okay. And let's see, what do I want to do? I want to add a method or add a handler right here. So the way you add handlers in event handlers in block, block is to say when GS frame changed event do, and then that is some event, right? So then that would be, and is there a BL event? Yeah, BL event, okay. I guess you should have a frame, right? Frame. So we'll save that. Oops. Where'd it go? New. Okay, so then we're going to add a accessors for this. Create accessors. That should have added frame and frame colon to get and set the value. I'll click this, so we're done. So frame and frame colon are the things here, and we'll just say I represent and I am fired when a GT class GT what's it called GS timeline when the user or when a when the current frame is changed, when the playhead moves to a new frame in GS time. How about I am sent by GS timeline when its playhead moves to a new frame? I'm sent by GS timeline when its playhead moves to a new moves to a new frame. Okay. Comment. Okay, I think that's all I need. And now I need to actually send it. So let's see, I've got a GS timeline up here. I'm just gonna keep this page open for that. I don't need this. So do I have a current method? Do I have a model of this thing? I have a playhead, but I don't really have a notion of when what that number is, right? So I want we've got several events here. One is when I think, can I just make one of these? I believe I can. So if I just make one of these, what I want to happen is as it moves, it's going to figure out the position and change that as it goes along. So so I have a example code. I could probably recreate this really quick, but I'm just gonna dig it up from where I found it. So I've been keeping notes on block, and I have a notes on a slider widget. It's very similar to this concept. It was kind of a prototype implementing a slider widget. That's it. If I open this up, then I have some example code at the bottom here where I make a text element and then make a vertical flow to, well, I'll show you what it does. So I just want to do this, but I want to have it show the current frame. So let's do that. So we're going to have this as a, so frame, how about we say frame 0? Text frame 0. Put that up here. And then we'll just say, hey, Stefano, is the code you're developing available in a public repo? Yes, this is in, so this is pretty, very much a prototype right now. So it's not in its own, like, I have a bunch of stuff stuck in this repo, but it's all in TS, that's for Tangent Storm -Pharaoh under Tangent Storm on GitHub. I guess I could just paste this in here, paste this in the chat. I don't think this chat actually gets saved. So, welcome and thanks for watching, by the way. And then the notes on block are in a different repo called blockbook. Same thing, just block bloc-book. There's a lot of like examples and stuff in here. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let's see, where am I at? All right, so I want to make this work. Where did I go? So slider widget, this is the example. I copied this and I put it on this page. And so now, let's see, I'm going to, instead of making the slider, I'm going to have a GS timeline. And I don't need this. So BB is for blockbook, GS is for game sketch lib library. And that's probably not going to be the final name of this thing, but it's a name I came up with a long time ago when I was making something like this in processing, and I thought I'd reuse it. That's what that's called until I come up with a better name. All right, so this is a spacer element. This is the output. I'm going to call this as spacer. On data changed. All right, so yeah, so this would be like on frame changed. I don't actually know how to emit one of those events. So that's something. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm on a strict, I wouldn't say a budget, but like a timeline. A timeline. So rather than messing with this right now, I'm going to make this a to-do item for the future, for like better API in the future, because I don't know the right way to send it. I probably could learn this pretty quickly, but I just don't even care right now. So just future, do it the right way, use instead of onFrameChanged. As I've said a couple times, the higher up you go in block, at the very top, everything is well documented for like Glamorous Toolkit, like this whole user interface. And the low level things are pretty well documented, but some of the stuff in the middle is like, the widget frameworks and how some of these events and stuff do. I don't know. It just doesn't, it's a little hard to follow the code for me. It's not very well documented yet. which makes me think it's probably still up in the air and a little bit, subject to redesign. Maybe, I don't know. All right, so we'll just for now. I don't need this anymore. For now, we'll just call it onFrameChanged. Actually, I do need that because I wanted to know. Well, we'll just look at BB slider and just copy the design I did here. I said onDataChanged is an object, or it really should be a block. A block. And then, all right, so the event handler is just something I stuck in the slot. Again, don't know if this is the right way to do things. Probably not the right way to do things in Brick and Block, but whatever. So not onDataChanged, we'll call it onFrameChanged. So onFrameChanged will be the and then I guess when I initialize, we'll say onFrameChanged, probably set it to value, right? The symbol value. I didn't set it to anything over here. Then that way you don't have to test for null if it's never null. So onFrameChanged, onFrameChanged. Stefano asks another question. Do you also use Pharaoh? How did it feel switching to GT? Me still feels constraining at the level of the GUI. So I do find it constraining, and I like that because I found that in Pharaoh, I don't like all the windows that are always popping up everywhere. There's just way too many windows. I get lost, and I really like the fact that it keeps me from getting lost, and I really like that it keeps things on the screen and in context. I was not like a serious user of Pharaoh, or I was more like I'd seen it when it first came out, and every few months I looked at it or whatever. But yeah, I haven't really. I would definitely not say I'm a pro Pharaoh user. I think that Pharaoh has some really nice things with Spec. So Spec is the UI building system, and they're Glamour Block and Brick were made by the person who made Pharaoh, or the Son Ducasse, or whatever his name is. He like launched this project, and then the Think guys took over and really developed Block and Brick into what it is today. And then they kind of had a falling out, and it has not been reincorporated into Pharaoh. But the intent was that all this stuff, at least the underlying graphics engine, would be used as the main tool in Pharaoh to replace Morphic. Yeah, all that Windows are so 90s. Yeah. At my job, we have a web-based user interface, and like we switched from an early version that had like a tabbed interface with a bunch, it's like a database kind of thing, like grids everywhere, and we switched to a draggable windows within inside a browser tab. And nobody, it has some advantages because you can put things side by side and whatnot, but people found it very frustrating. Like they didn't want to upgrade to our newer system, so we had to add a lot of features to get people to move away from the old thing that was less capable because they just liked the UI better and they got lost. And part of what I'm working on at work is to get rid of the windows and restore some tabs. So I don't know. I don't hate those kind of interfaces, but they're I do find them. I find that I get lost and I have way too many windows open, and this seems to you have things growing off to the side, but then whenever you change something, like if you had like 10 windows out here and you press this button, then like all those 9 of those windows go away and you get one new window back, or not window, but whatever you call this thing. Called a page and a flow. This is a flow, PHLOW, and this is a page. I know you probably know this. I'm just talking to anybody who's watching this. Anyway, okay, so onFrameChanged, new frame, frame number, new frame. How about we say new frame? All right, first of all, well, let's just not do anything yet. Let's just leave this blank. Yeah, I went through and read the entire chat on the Pharaoh Discord like for the past couple of years. It's kind of sad. Like they weren't that far apart conceptually, but like some of the coding conventions are here, and like they were really fighting about whether null was like checks for null were appropriate to have in your code, and I guess the Pharaoh guys were very much along the lines of just don't put those checks in, or if you do, don't make them assertions and things like that. And it didn't seem like it was that much of a big deal, but somehow it just never got resolved. All right, so but I guess that they still talk to each other, so I guess they I don't know if they've mended their disagreement, but they Stephen Ducasse Stefan said something a while ago that about they were close to having a block in Pharaoh again. I'm not sure it's ready to go though. Like block is I think pretty well done, but as I was saying earlier, like some of the stuff in the middle, like brick itself does not seem to be ready for prime time. It's very unstable. I'm gonna say unstable. In some ways, it's unstable, and like I have an issue with the scroll bar going the wrong way and things like that. But like it's just not well documented. There's no like if you just make a BR button, it doesn't there's nothing you don't see anything. You can't click on it. It doesn't do anything. You have to make the thing on top of it the glamorous button which adds a bunch of other stuff to a basic button to make it do something. So maybe that's intentional, but if so, they haven't explained like how you're meant to use these things. And the examples like that are here just don't work. Anyway, all right. So I want to add this whatever this thing is, a GS timeline. So add child GS timeline new as timeline. All right, boom. Is it not the right size? Hello, new person. Why is it not? If I just say GS timeline new, that should make something, right? If I just Control G on this, I get the timeline. All right, so and it says self match parent. Oh, and I said fit content here. So I want this to match parent. Then it's going to put the field way down here, right? That's weird. How about we just say B exact 200 and H match. So horizontally match the parent and then vertically be 100. We don't, and then I think we say by default it fits content. Nope, we have to say fit content. That surprised me. That's confusing. So I don't fully understand this. So if I said match parent, it worked. Didn't really put them in the way that I wanted them to do. Seems I have some learning to do about how all these things work, these layouts work. Okay, but whatever. All right, so match parent, and then be exact, blah blah blah, and then we're going to say, and then eventually we're going to say onFrameChanged, do something. Okay, so whatever, we'll leave that for now. All right, so then on playhead pull. snap scroll pane. So as it scrolls, it snaps to a column on the left. So it's always lined up with one of these lines on the left, no matter where you stop scrolling. You stop right here. I guess I can't stop it in the middle like that. But if you stop it, like whatever, that's what this is doing. Snap scroll pane, and then snap to column is the generic thing that snaps a point to that column. But so I need to know where is the scroll pane. So if I wanted to get the number 50 right now, how would I do that? So I would say self snap to column, and then I can't even do that. Oh, that's the vertical flow. Okay, so I want the SP. No, I want the self child name. Can I find child name down in the tree somewhere? Scroll pane. I can. Okay, so I can get all the way down to the scroll pane, and then then I have to do it like this, and I say position. Nope. Scroll position. Nope. Hang on. SC scrollable. Scrollable scroll position. Self child name. SC scroll position. Child scrollable. Did I get something called scrollable? Yes. And children. That's children shortcut. Children. Oh, children is a BR infinite list element. Okay, so there are two things called scrollable, I think. So self child named timeline. Timeline child name scrollable. How about that? Yes, but still nothing. That's not what I want. Okay, first, what is self? Self. Timeline should have a horizontal pane. I don't see anything named scrollable here, right? Can't really resize this because we have timeline US. So there is nothing called scrollable, but somehow I got to that. The BR horizontal pane has a scrollable. It should be scroll pane. Oh wait, scrollable. Here's grid UI. Come on. Not letting me click on anything. Might be else. Overview should have somewhere here. I should be able to get the scroll position, right? Current BR scroll. Scroll position. Print it. -880. Okay, so I did get scrollable, but somehow so I'm wondering if I can find something that's like a path that can give me, or something that'll find in children, like find the exact. Hang on a second. This is at number, or at address 865188. So 86 and 88 are the numbers. If I run this here, do I get that same object? No, I get a different one. Okay, so I need to, who are the parents of this thing? Infinite list element inside the, so somewhere buried deep inside the infinite list on this side. There's something called a scrollable. But why didn't I see that when I just inspected this? I just said children. Horizontal pane. The vertical pane is over here. Oh, wait. So I would have had to, I guess I didn't dig down this, I dug down here. And way down in here somewhere there's a scrollable. So it finds the first thing named scrollable. That's not what I want. So I can't just search for scrollable. Then I have to say timeline scrollable. But this should have done that. Because, oh no, I see the GS timeline also contains it. So I need to say GS timeline scroll pane scrollable. And then this should be the one at 86. Yeah. 8688. Okay. I guess that's the address in memory of this thing, or the address of the pointer, or the value of the pointer. All right, so I think there's something that you can do that is not named this. So I'm going to hit Control N to let you do this with, like, give it a list of symbols, I'm guessing. So are there senders? I want some, yeah, I want things that, how about implementers of this? Yeah, that would be BL element, and then what's in this protocol. So children accessing, let's look in that, let's browse this, and then in my little protocol browser thing, let's find children access. Direct child name something, and then child named. Okay, so I'd have to add that if I want to do that. So let's what I want is something like, it's like a reduce, right? So what is the Smalltalk version of reduce? Smalltalk reduce equivalent. On with collections in the coolest small talk. Okay, sure. Do that. Array of numbers. Can we say reduce? Reduce. This came up. How was sum implemented? Inject? Yes. Okay, so inject is what I want. So I want to say find child. So self find child, right? And I want to add that on like GS object if I can. This could be on element, right? How about we say BL element new find child, and we'll add that in. We'll add it as an extension method in tangents form, right? Or game schedule. I do that. I think that's how you make an extension method. Oh, name was sent to nil. I think you have to actually save it first. Save it. Did it work? So find child a path. Then we'll say a path should be list of symbols. So then we would say collection is a self, so we would say a path inject anyone. Oh, I see. So it just takes one of them to get the right type, adds them all up, and then it removes the original sample. So in our case, we just want self. So the BL element, we're going to start with self, and then into that, we're going to say accum each. So starting with the self, we're going to say accum find child, no, accum child named each. That's it, right? And just to check, I think that now gives me something in this thing in TS-Pharaoh. If I look here, I'm expecting that to register as a change. Okay, so what went wrong? Because it's an extension method in another package, right? But I said it was in this package, right? I think this is not the right way to do this. It is. So we'll call it no. Let's re-add that and see if that. Come here. Pick anything. Now pick it again and say, there we go, game schedule. I think that didn't take. This should be here. It should be a change in the game sketchlib package because I've added it as an extension method to. If I just browse this class, do I see it? Browse it, and I see. I don't see. Oh, maybe there's not supposed to be a star after. Yeah, there's a space after the star. That's my problem. Okay, so you don't put the space in there, even though it allowed me to autocomplete it that way. That's not how it works. So learned something today. Okay, so now if I go here, BL element, yeah, we see that we've added a find child thing to BL element. So I guess this is some kind of proxy for BL element that I'm adding to game sketchlib. This is where it stores all the extension methods in the repo. That class. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, so we learned something about that. Then we should be able to say timeline, scroll pane, scroll. Children container name timeline does not exist. I'm wondering if it goes right to left. Inject into. This value, next value. Is it backwards? Did I misspell something? Timeline, scroll pane, scrollable. Like it worked here, right? That worked. Oh, but I said BL element new, so I should say self. Find child. I said BL element new. So it's not. Yeah, that was duh. Yeah, so that found this. That's what I wanted. Okay, so find child. Timeline, scrollable, scrollable. Timeline, scroll pane, scrollable. Boom. There we go. All right, now why did I want that? Scroll position. Get the scroll position on. There we go. Except it's 0. Oh, but it is 0. It is. That is actually the correct answer. If I go here now, it should be something different. 180. Okay. And then we want scroll position X and divided by, do I have CW? Is that a thing that I have? Print? Column width. Call width. Oops. No. We should put this on a GS timeline rather than worry about this thing so far. So just inspect the GS timeline. And so we don't have to jump through the whatever. So GS timeline new. Then self, find child, scroll pane, scrollable, scroll position. If I print this now, this actually does have it, right? So, oops. If I print this whole thing, it's 0. If I scroll this way and print it again, it's -6. That'd be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So that's exactly the number I want, except it's negative. Can you put a negative right in front of it? No, I don't think you can. So scroll position X, negate negative. True. No, so that's a question mark. Okay. So negated. Okay. Scroll position X negated divided by the column. And then, so the offset, so this is offset, is this. And then we want I can just get to that directly with the cursor position, right? I think. Nope. Children container name cursor does not exist. So how do I get that? Okay. Children is what? Well, it's not a cursor called playhead. 600 divided by call width. And so show me the live view again. Live. Oh, I lost it. So offset plus phone. Oops. Plus was sent to nil. Plus was sent to nil. That's 6. Oh, and I capitalized it here. So print that is 30. No, but I need yeah, so it has to be the last thing I do, plus offset. Okay, 36. That is exactly the frame number that I'm on, so that is correct. That's 5, that's exactly right. Okay, so this is the way to get the, so offset, this is how you would calculate the, I think we don't have to actually ask for that because playhead is just a playhead position, boom, is 5, and I think the scrollable? No. Scrollable is not a value, so I don't have a name for that. I think it's actually scroll pane. Yeah, scroll pane children first, right? Yeah, so that's the same thing. So I actually didn't need that find thing, but I've wanted that numerous times. So. Okay. And we could probably just scroll pane playhead position X plus offset divided by call W and save a division just for 5. Yeah, exactly right. Right, and so we can call this now we're going to refactor this. Nope. We're going to extract this as a method. Extract method self. Do I just want it to be an axis that says get current frame, or do I want it to be playhead frame? I'll call it playhead frame. Playhead to frame. Frame from playhead. Frame from playhead. All right, so then I think rather than doing this column width, so I think I actually want snap to column, right? Because that way, as I'm dragging it anywhere, I can get the thing. And that way, as I drag it along on every step of the thing, even as it's animating, all that stuff, I can get it everywhere. All right, so rather than saying divided by column width, we're going to say snap to column. We're going to say snap to column. So self snap to column. Playhead position X plus offset. And we can just say playhead position, and we don't even have to say X. And then we just get X. I think that works. Oh, that did not work. Did not work. Okay, so what is going on there? Why is that not right? I would say playhead position X plus offset. Gated X. A little confused here. Why is that? That's 52. Playhead position plus offset. That's 520, and then the playhead position is what? 600. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that to be a big number. Then we say self snap to column. Oh, is it this? Why is it so large? I guess I've already divided this by the... Yeah, I've already divided this. That's weird. Why am I doing it that way? I'm gonna say senders of that. Oh, right. So I still have to divide by the thing. Okay, so right. So this is multiplying it by the column width. So I need to do this part. I want to do this part and not do the multiplication. Okay, so snap to column. Rather than snap to column, I just want to say play position plus offset. That's the number. And then we're going to add call width divided by 2. And then we're gonna divide it. Then we're gonna divide it by call width and as integer. So take all this, add this all together, and then we do it. Oh, I don't need this. This is what I want right here. Came from playhead position X. Oops. 56. And that's exactly right. Okay, so then as we drag it, we're going to say as it changes on each little bit of auto scrolling, auto scroll task. And then we're going to say self check for frame change. Check frame change. And we're going to keep the current frame, or let's say frame. Okay, and that's going to be 0 on when we first initialize. Frame equals 0. And so we're going to say frame, new frame. I'm going to call it current frame. I don't think I actually saved that yet, did I? So in the initializer, close this. What just happened? Initialize and call it current frame. Current frame equals 0. Boom. And then where it says this, we're going to tell it to check frame change. That's what we want. And then wherever this is, we're going to tell it, so frame is equal to frame self, frame from playhead, and then frame not equal, if it's not equal to current frame, then if true, why is this? Oh, but it's not used. Then, so this is done, and then if true, then we're going to broadcast. First, we're going to say current frame equals frame, and then broadcast the onFrameChanged call current frame equals frame. Right? I think that's right. So then onFrameChanged send the current frame, the new frame, to whatever onFrameChanged is. And right now it just says value, so that does nothing. And so that should work. That should continue to work as expected. So yes, timeline new. Expect that, and it should not throw any errors. Boom, everything's fine. And we also want to set this in the DL pull event. So, which is also right here. So we check it on the pull event, and then also if just when we're holding it over here, no more pull events are being sent, but this auto scrolling is causing it to also to run this thing, the auto scroll task. Okay, I think that's it. So boom, double check, no errors on scroll. Everything's good. And now let's try this and see if it works. Child name was sent to nil. TL count as row text. We don't need this. We don't need the TL. Timeline. And then now we're going to add this on. Oh, and then we need an accessor for, we need a setter for onFrameChanged. Create accessor. We don't need a getter for it. So we just take this out. And onFrameChanged. Oh, but we gotta actually add it right. onFrameChanged. Then we'll say new frame. And we'll say text frame, and then new frame as string, as wrote text. Frame 0. Oh, errors. A text must be an instance of text. Okay. Frame plus new frame as string. What is the order of this? Unary messages, new frame as string as wrote text. So we actually want it to be, we wanted to change the order so it goes, so boom. This thing needs to be in friends, and this does not need to have friends. And then we call this as timeline. All right, try again. The block is being sent. Okay, so what's going on there? onFrameChanged. Oh, what did I say there? onDataChanged block. What's happening was we say check. A method called checkFrameChanged. On-chain call. Oh, and this is, I sent a block here. This should not be a block. This should be in parentheses. It was just a typo. Not typo, a thinko, I guess. Boom. So it looks like that's working, and yeah, that's exactly what I want. Let's see if this auto counts. Yeah, that's right. How you do it? Okay. What if I make this 100? Is that a little nicer? And maybe we'll put it the other way around, right? All right, so now we have a frame. Now let's go ahead and commit that. Calculate and broadcast the frame number. I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the in the timeline on the GS animator, and then I'll do it. So let me copy that GS timeline. In the GS animator, that's this app. I think we can override make toolbar. Make toolbar, yeah. Super make toolbar. I believe sets make toolbar. Doesn't. Add child. I'll go ahead and return this. Super make toolbar add child. Yeah, that text. Frame label. Frame counter. Equals BL text. Add this as a slot. We'll extract this as a method called self make frame counter. Boom. Boom. Return UI, but before we return the UI, we're going to say timeline on frame changed. Yeah, I see. I'm going to actually have to do this a different way. Because so I made this really simple, but what I'm missing now is this is the only frame. This is the only handler I can add. So I need to use announcements the other way. So I got to learn or I need to use events the way that Block wants me to use it, which I think is using an announcer. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to like break for lunch here. So I'm going to save this the one way. And then while I'm at lunch, I'm going to do some reading on how events are meant to work. I think it's about making an announcer, an object called an announcer. I think that's just like a standard Smalltalk thing. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that, and then update this. So I didn't actually fulfill the promise. So this is all I did so far was get the frame counter. So the title of this video was like actual animation or something like that, actually doing keyframes. So I don't know what I'm going to do, until I get it done, because I don't know what things I'm going to do. So maybe I'll have to redo the thumbnail and all that stuff. That's what I get for putting a title in the in my thumbnail. All right, so onFrameChanged. In this case, the logic will still be the same. New frame, and we're going to say exactly what I said before. The frame counter text is going to be frame new frame as string as row text. Boom. And if I do this, frame 0, I add the frame, and it moves around like that. Or I say make frame counter, I need to give it some padding. So make frame counter, yellow element new, and then we'll say, oops, and we'll say padding. Padding will be BL, what's it called? BL insets. BL insets all will be 2 pixels or 2 points. Maybe even make it 5. Let's see what that does. Frame 0. Okay, that's fine. Not ideal, but it's good enough. And what I really need to do is figure out how to make this. So instead of saying, the difference is going to be, instead of onFrameChanged, it's going to be when when GS frame changed and frame change or something, a change event, and do something like that. But for the moment, yeah, because it really needs to. You need to have many, like I wanted to do this, but I also wanted to update the scene. That's the whole point. So we're almost there. Once I get there, then I say, okay, now for this frame, and then I have to say, so first I need to make this do events the right way so I can have multiple consumers of it. I'm not going to roll my own way to do that. This was, it's easy to send it to one, but when you want like a whole framework for that, let's just learn how Block does it, because it has this nice when do thing, and we'll just learn the right way to emit an event. Probably very, very easy. And then we have to say, okay, what, like, is this, basically for this, whatever frame we land on, we have to find all the keyframes for that. So we have to find a way to look up keyframes by number on all the tracks, which for right now can be very, very simple for this prototype, because there's only one track and there's only 3 keyframes. Then eventually it'll be, we might have to do some indexing or something like that, make a dictionary or with a hash map or something like that. But I think, for now we can just loop through all the, loop through every keyframe and to see if any of them are on this particular frame, right? Or at least every track loop through the track or whatever. They are sorted, so I mean, it might not be that big a deal. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that. Yeah, I really like that. All right, so and then once we have all that information, then we have to set the scene to do all those things. All right, so let's commit this. And so GS animator or GSL, we'll just call it GSL is for game sketchlib. We'll say a primitive, or say first pass at frame changed event. All right, and I'm going to stop this here, and I'll be back in a little bit with more information about event handling. I'll push this as well, and I'll see you guys later.